does it do? What is the real business? Second, why should Zimbabwe care about it? Not only for the reasons that Mr. Shinamasa indicated, because other people care about what the fund says, but we'll try to get to that. I've prepared a few slides, so thank you very much for already placing them. We start with a bit of the history. The fund was established right after the war, in 1944. The idea was to avoid the mistakes in economic policies that brought about the Great Depressions in the 30s and eventually the war. It was the brainchild of two famous economists. One is Henry White, the one on the left, who was then US Treasury Assistant Secretary. The other is the famous John Maynard Keynes, the British economist. Funny enough, this is something I always like to tell the story, Henry White has been historically proved to have worked as a spy for the Soviet Union at the time, which was a bit funny because of the reputation. And also, John Maynard Keynes was, by all means, was not a spy, but many of his friends were spies. I found always very fun. Okay, what is the fund? The fund is a global institution that employs 2,500 people from 160 different countries. Of course, Zimbabwe is one of its 188 shareholders. Zimbabwe's quota shares of the funds are 550 million, just to give you an idea, which is 0.15% of the overall quota, of the overall capital, to say briefly. So that gives you an idea of the vote power of Zimbabwe, no? To give an idea, which is small. So, but it's small because the quota is small. But for instance, South Africa has 0.7%, Kenya even less than Zimbabwe, 0.1. There is an issue here that these quotas are a bit outdated because they were decided in 1944. The world has completely changed, and in fact we are in the process of reforming that, and there have been decisions to do that which require a lot of consensus, and we are waiting actually to implement them. So, what is the fund's mandate? Why are we there? What do we do? The main mandate is to provide what we call the public good of global financial stability, which we believe it is a necessary condition for lasting economic growth, job creation, and reduction of poverty. So this is the minimal thing, that's the basis to move forward. How do we do it? Basically in three ways. Could you? Minister Shinamasa already used the metaphor of the doctor. We provide each country's in the membership with an annual health checkup, what we call the annual Article 4 consultations. Zimbabwe got it done in March of this year, and the IMF Executive Board approved the health report, as we have said here, in June of this year. The report is published, and you can find it in the FAB website, which is imf.org, very easy. Second, We provide technical assistance to countries in order to improve their institutional capacity to implement sound policies. So we help in generating technical expertise in the countries. Zimbabwe has, for instance, received assistance in tax administration, financial sector management, banking and financial supervision. So this is an area in which we are pretty much engaged, and it's an important area. As we told, there is also a mission here which is working on tax administration. There are continuously visits from experts, and that's an important area of common work. Third, let's get to the main issues. We also provide direct financial support to countries that incur balance of payments problem because of temporary shocks, or to help them to implement policies to address the underlying causes of their persistent difficulties in external payments. That would be the case of Zimbabwe. However, as it has already been said, Zimbabwe cannot benefit from the financial support because it has accumulated arrears payment with the fund since 2000. Let's be frank, this is not much money, $142 million. But it's a problem. Moreover, it's not only the arrears with the fund, by its law, by its statute, cannot extend loans to Zimbabwe until the country runs arrears with other international financial institutions, such as the World Bank and African Development. That's the real problem. We need to solve that. So, what is the purpose of the current fund? We can stop with. So, what is the purpose of the current fund mission in Herald? Why are we here, in effect, since we cannot do this bit? Let me give you a bit of background. I think that we agree with the Zimbabwean authorities, and we have discussed it with Minister Shinamasa a number of times, that the ambitious development objective set out by the Zim asset strategy cannot be achieved without the financial support of the international community. Zimbabwe faces formidable economic challenges, but sound policies can unleash its strong economic potential and bring better living conditions to its population. However, financial support is paramount to this purpose. Thus, normalizing financial relations with creditors is a top priority if we want to change. We want to unlock access to financial support. This is why we are here. How? Zimbabwe, it has already been said, the economic reform program has been monitored by fund staff for more than 1 year. Why? To build a favorable track record and demonstrate that Zimbabwe is actually collaborating with the fund. A first step. The mission is here to conduct a final review of this program, and then
bring the collaboration possibly to a different level, through a new, more ambitious program. That program could constitute an important step in the route toward normalizing relations with international financial institutions, a condition which is essential for seeking bilateral debt rescheduling under the Paris Club umbrella. In other words, rescheduling with bilateral creditors. Thus, the objective of the program, what should be? Basically twofold, two things. First, to increase Zimbabwe's capacity to repay by strengthening its external position and accumulate reserves. Fully agree with me. Second, to show that the country can implement policies that could eventually justify a financial program with the fund. That the country is in the condition, it has the capacity to make the policy steps that could justify our support in a way, in financial terms. This is the program itself, but in order to regain access to financial flows, Zimbabwe is needing to do other things. It's not. In particular, it needs to mobilize support from development partners to help the international financial institutions to define a strategy for clearing the outstanding arrears. This is by all means not an easy proposition. We should not think that this can be done easily. But I think it is worthwhile trying to do. In order to succeed, this strategy will require concerted efforts on the domestic front, in a sense what we are doing here, to build wide consensus on Zimbabwe's economic reform program, on the policy that you are implementing. But also strong efforts on the external front to change perceptions that unfortunately are negative. This is why we are here, and this is why we are trying to help, in a way. Those are my remarks, I think. But let me just say something on the observation that Zimbabwe is not on the HIPEC list. Yes, it is a HIPEC, it's an awful acronym which says it's a special debt relief which is given to high debt countries. And there are some requirements for that you need to be very, very poor and you need to have very high debt. Zimbabwe does not qualify for that. So that's good in one side, because you are not so poor and so... So that's... and I think we should actually acknowledge the fact and move with seeking what we call traditional rescheduling under the Paris Club along this area. I'm done practically. Thank you very much. I will be happy to discuss and answer the questions.